I'm assuming that most people clicking on this video probably know what a rectocele is. It is a form of prolapse. I'm not sure how in depth I can go to keep this from being the type of video where you have to sign in for it, but it is something that can really affect people after having had childbirth. So I have had 3 full-term pregnancies, and that kind of is what led to me having issues. But this is my 2-month post-op update, and I'm doing a lot better. I will say, I do think since exercising a lot of the freedoms since 7 weeks and just being able to exercise, I do feel like I did push myself a little bit this time around. And as far as like any information on like spicy relationship type stuff with my husband, we kind of took a break from doing that kind of thing. So not someone who would need to use things like dilators or anything like that, but still very much dealing with whatever sutures are still left internally. Like not just internally in the birth canal area, but internally, like literally in the tissue, like inside the tissue where I couldn't see it, like even if I were to get a pelvic exam, the ones that you can't see. So that's been a little bit frustrating because I'm not spasming like I did, which that's actually really good. So I'm not spasming like I did. Like if I were to do squats, I'm not gonna end up having overdone it and spasming. Same thing with walking, but I do feel kind of like there's a buildup of pressure. So if you are dealing with rectocele, I think if you know that feeling where you gotta go number 2, but you can't yet, so there's just that kind of pressure there. It's kind of like a ghost pressure where if I do a whole lot, it kind of feels like that form of constipation where stuff's building up, but you don't actually have to use the bathroom without like the urge to push. It's a very niche discomfort, and if you're watching this video, my guess is you understand what I'm saying. But I'm not spasming so much as just feeling like pressure there. And what really stinks is I had a horrible dream last night where basically my whole underside just exploded, and then like I needed to get an ostomy bag. That was not a fun dream. So I don't know what's going on, but I think my subconscious, I do think I'm a little bit like afraid. And this just kind of happened within the past 2 days, so I don't know what that's about, having bad dreams about it. But I think I overworked myself. And fortunately, like upon visual inspection, it's not like anything looks crazy bad, out of place, anything like that. It's just that I think I did a lot. I took my kids out, just me and them, and carrying my youngest a whole bunch, the constant lifting. I think I can do a little bit here and there, but to go to things like going to church, but then going grocery shopping, and then playing outside afterwards, I think to do it all in the same day was aggressive, as well as having done a workout where I'm trying to increase weights again for things like barbell hip thrust. I also threw out my back. Well, I didn't throw out my back, but I got sore from that, which then made yesterday tougher to be able to like pick up my kids and stuff. So if you have small children and you are looking into this surgery, I will say that can be quite a hindrance if you don't have help. I don't have any family nearby. I do have more friends, so I can get help with them or from them occasionally, but not always because they work or they are out of state helping family at the moment. And as far as my husband goes, like obviously every time he's working and he's not home, I don't have his help. And that makes being able to rest when things do start to get uncomfortable kind of hard to do. Something that I did to really help offset it being worse than it is my husband and I, prior to having surgery, we got it so that my youngest wasn't in the crib anymore. So he sleeps on a mattress on the floor and he can crawl in and out. So it's not like I have to pick him up if there's any issues at night. It's a lot easier to comfort him. And we built these big toy benches. So for cleaning up stuff, it's not like having to lift a whole bunch of things and dealing with that, and the kids don't need me to grab stuff for them. They can just open up a toy bench, pull out the toys that they need. And I think that making it kind of easy on yourself to hold things, easy on yourself to be able to be in your house and help with your kids is very important, because I didn't realize how going back into it. I mean, my doctor said, you know, don't go 0 to 100. That's not what you're being cleared for. You're basically being cleared to do things, but feel it out and slowly get back to where you were before. But I felt really good. And I think that's the thing too, is with the less spasming, like straight up this past week, I don't know what it is, but I don't get those same signals I've been getting. Like, I feel really good. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I feel bad. So you got to be mindful of that, I would think, as the recovery goes along. You will feel better. I wonder if, like, the spasming, like, the reduction of it has to do with maybe my nerves are healing a lot more. And I absolutely still feel when I do, like, a quick motion. So, like, if I were to do a sprint, you know, that's uncomfortable, or, like, any kind of stretch, like think side lunge when you're moving your leg up to the side. Can't really do that kind of thing without feeling it. It still feels like a tug on the tissue. But yeah, outside of that, I've been doing very well. It's just an increase. I took stool softeners today because things were feeling a little bit tough in terms of coming out, and so my doctor said, you know, take the fiber supplements, take stool softeners if you absolutely need. So been trying to up just the natural, like, fruits and vegetables and natural fiber that I'm getting, but I think I need a little bit more help. And I partially wonder if part of that is just being, like, afraid to use the restroom, especially because I had that dream and I just got sore out of nowhere, because I remember the first, like, 3 or 4 weeks, yes, things would move just fine after having the surgery. Once I finally was able to go to the restroom, surprisingly everything, like, moved just fine, but it was still uncomfortable with the pressure of passing a bowel movement and pushing on all the very sore sensitive tissue. And I kind of just, I don't know, the fact that I had a really scary dream in regards to, like, everything just exploding out of my pelvic area, and like all the sutures failing. I do think I have a little bit of subconscious fear that, you know, I'm not fully healed yet, which, yeah, I'm not with any kind of surgery. Like, you look up things like breast lifts, you look up things like facelifts, you look up things like tummy tucks, and it's like a full year. So, and we're only 2 months into it. But drinking my water, getting more fiber in, taking stool softeners when needed. The hardest thing to do is honestly get the rest that I need if I'm experiencing more pain, just because of the way the household dynamic is, and not having, like, a very large village. So if you have family or friends, like, if you're going to be getting this kind of surgery, I very much, I feel like at this point, if I just had help, like, twice a week, where someone helped for 2 to 4 hours, where my whole job was to just sit, I feel like that would probably make a difference. And if you're very active, you know, forcing yourself to slow down, which is really hard. I am very active. I do have a lot of activities that I can do, but I am finding that even just doing household chores, just standing on my feet, still contributes a little bit to discomfort. And overall, I mean, it's just been pretty stressful, because I do things like homeschooling. So just mentally, I think I'm stretched a little bit thin, and it just seems to be like a cascade failure with how I'm handling stuff in general. But yeah, I feel like if I had help just like twice a week extra on top of when my husband's home, I feel like that would be great. But I don't have that, so I gotta find other methods. And yeah, I don't regret having had the surgery. So even though I don't have that help, I'm still better than I was last week. Like, to not have the muscle spasms to the same extent over a week difference, that is a nice report to give. And so clearly I am getting better, like, every week. I notice something has changed for the better. But it does make it a little bit hard to know when I need to rest, because the one nice thing about that, like, feeling things starting to ache, when the spasms, they felt like involuntary kegels, and then they wouldn't stop, and then it would just kind of spread from there to my glute muscles to then my hamstring if I just wouldn't rest. I don't have those warning signs. start feeling uncomfortable. This is not the same. And then the next day I feel worse, like when I sleep and everything. It's like instead of having rested and restored throughout the night, I just wake up like, okay, today's not gonna be a fun day. But yeah, I mean, it's only a week difference from like the 7-week update or a week and a half. So I mean, maybe next week I'll have the muscle spasms again. We'll see. But I'm just thankful each day is a day closer to full recovery. And I am grateful that just in general it is, I mean, it's kind of like this. It's like it's a trend upwards in terms of how I'm feeling. So yeah, I don't know if these are helpful for you if you're looking into getting surgery or anything like that. I've said in my videos before, I very much highly recommend seeing a pelvic floor therapist. I did that, and that's how I made the determination that I did want to get surgery. I think that if I had seen a pelvic floor therapist after my second delivery, my second baby, that I would have been perfectly fine to have just use some of the different like little lifestyle changes and exercise modifications and, you know, things that I do to avoid it. But by the time I had my third, I think it just progressed to a point, because I also have diastasis. I think it just progressed to a point that it was very hard to manage. I have a very active lifestyle. And anytime I traveled, it became a serious issue where I couldn't use the restroom. And it wasn't because things were constipated from the start. Literally just feeling that urge to, I need to go number 2 in a restroom up to 2 days. Living that way is just, it's not a fun way to live, you know? And some of the ways to help pass bowel movements, like, you don't do in a public restroom. So I'm glad that I made the choice for myself. If you haven't seen a doctor yet, I mean, pelvic floor therapy is a really great thing to do first. They're very educated, and I highly recommend it too. Ever since I'd seen the pelvic floor therapist, anyone of my peers now, when they are expecting again, that's like my one advice. My one unsolicited advice to expecting mothers is pelvic floor therapist, not anything else, like not what they should be eating, how they should be exercising, just like, you know, a pelvic floor therapist is a great thing. But yeah, I do need to be careful with straining, because anytime you're straining and things like that, you can, you know, re-damage the area. Even people who have never had children can suffer from prolapse issues, but I don't have to strain as much. And for the most part, except for what I've been saying recently about the way that I feel when I've overexerted myself, kind of feels like I have to use the restroom when I don't. But for the most part, if I feel the urge to use the restroom, I need to go, which is wild, because there's been moments where it's like, wait, I have like a day, right? No, I need to go within 5 minutes. So, it's like trying to find a bathroom and just being thankful, like, okay, well, I'm glad I didn't leave the house. Like, the signs are very, very true. None of this, like, just walking with discomfort for hours. But yeah, so I'm going to get on with the rest of my day. Anything you want to write in the comment section, I will see it. And I hope that you are doing well, either with recovery or with dealing with this, or if you just wanted information, you know, and that you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.